The cargo ship landed on Helio 7 station with a soft hiss. Captain Doyen stepped out into the busy marketplace and stretched his tired muscles. He had been flying for 3 weeks straight, moving supplies from one colony to another. His ship needed fuel, and he needed food that didn't come from a package. The station was crowded with aliens from 100 different worlds. Some walked on 2 legs, some on 4. Others floated in the air or slithered on the ground. Doyen had seen them all before. After 10 years of flying cargo routes, nothing surprised him anymore. He walked past shops selling strange fruits, glowing crystals, and weapons he couldn't name. The air smelled like spices and engine oil. Vendors shouted in dozens of languages trying to sell their goods. Music from 3 different cultures mixed together into noise. Doyen stopped at a food stand and bought something that looked like noodles. It tasted like copper and salt, but it was hot and filling. He ate while walking, heading toward the fuel depot on the other side of the station. That's when he saw her. A small alien child sat on the floor near a toy vendor's stall. She was tiny, maybe the size of a human 5-year-old. Her skin was pale blue and seemed to glow slightly in the station's dim light. She had 4 arms instead of 2, and her eyes were huge and silver. Tears ran down her small face as she stared at something in the vendor's display. Doyen slowed down. The child looked so sad and alone. He glanced around for her parents but saw no one paying attention to her. The marketplace crowd walked past without looking. For them, one small alien child meant nothing. He walked closer. The child was staring at a music box. It was simple, made of colored glass and metal. When the vendor pressed a button, it opened up and projected tiny holographic butterflies that danced in the air. The butterflies glowed soft pink and yellow, moving in circles to a gentle melody. The child watched the butterflies with desperate longing. Her lower lip trembled. More tears fell from her big silver eyes. Doyen couldn't walk away. Something about the sight made his chest hurt. He knelt down beside her, careful not to scare her. "Hey there," he said softly. "Are you okay?" The child looked at him with surprise. Her eyes went wide and she wiped at her tears with 2 of her 4 hands. You're a human," she said in accented but clear English. Her voice was high and musical like wind chimes. "That's right," Doyen said with a gentle smile. "My name is Doyen. What's your name?" "Nari," the child whispered. She looked at him for a long moment, then fresh tears spilled over. "Human, can you purchase me a toy for my birthday?" She wept. Her small body shook with sobs. Doyen felt his heart break. He sat down fully on the floor, not caring about the dirt. "Your birthday? That's today?" Nari nodded, still crying. "Today is my 7th solar return. My people celebrate birthdays like humans do. We give gifts and have sweet food and sing songs." Her voice cracked. "But I have no one. My caretaker left me here 3 cycles ago. She said I was too expensive to keep. She said she would come back, but she didn't." 3 cycles? Doyen felt anger rise in his chest. "You've been alone here for 3 days?" "Yes," Nari said. "The station guards let me stay because I'm small and quiet. Some vendors give me food scraps. But today is my birthday and all I want is that music box." She pointed at it with one small hand. "The butterflies are so pretty. My mother used to show me real butterflies before she died. I miss her so much." Doyen looked at the music box, then at the vendor. The vendor was a large, gray-skinned alien with 4 eyes. He was watching them with no expression on his flat face. "How much for the music box?" Doyen asked him. The vendor's translator device buzzed. 50 credits, he said in a deep voice. No bargaining. 50 credits was nothing. Doyen made that much in an hour of flying. But for this small child it might as well have been 1,000,000. She had nothing. Doyen pulled out his credit chip without hesitation. "I'll take it." The vendor took the payment and handed over the music box. It was smaller than Doyen expected, fitting easily in his palm. He turned to Nari and held it out to her. "Happy birthday, Nari." The child stared at the music box like it was made of stars. Slowly, carefully, she reached out with all 4 hands and took it. She held it against her chest and looked up at Doyen with such pure joy that he felt tears in his own eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." She pressed the button and the holographic butterflies appeared, dancing around her head. She laughed, a sound like bells ringing. "They're so beautiful." Doyen smiled, watching her happiness. But his smile faded when he noticed something wrong. Nari's glow was getting dimmer. Her hands were shaking. She swayed where she sat. "Nari," he said, worried now. "Are you The child's eyes rolled back and she collapsed. The music box fell from her hands. Doyen caught her before she hit the ground. She was so light, too light. He could feel her ribs through her thin clothing. Her skin was cold. "Someone help!" Doyen shouted, holding the tiny alien child in his arms. "I need a doctor." A few aliens looked over but kept walking. One laughed. Another shook his head and turned away. No one cared about one sick alien child, please. Doyen yelled louder. "She's dying." Finally, a security guard came over. He looked at Nari and sighed. "There's a medical bay on level 3, but treatment costs money. Does the child belong to you?" "She does now," Doyen said without thinking. He scooped up the music box with one hand while holding Nari with the other. "Where's level 3? The guard pointed. Doyen ran. He ran through the marketplace, pushing past aliens who cursed at him. He ran upstairs and down corridors. His lungs burned and his arms ached, but he didn't stop. The small child in his arms was so still, so quiet. He could barely feel her breathing. He burst into the medical bay, startling a human doctor who was reading a data pad. "Help her!" Doyen gasped. "Please help her!" The doctor took one look at Nari and moved fast. She grabbed the child and put her on an examination table. Machines hummed to life, scanning the small body with blue light. Doyen stood back, breathing hard, still holding the music box. He watched the doctor work and prayed to gods he didn't believe in. He had come to this station just to buy fuel. Now he was standing in a medical bay with a dying alien child he had just met. He should walk away. He should go back to his ship and leave. This wasn't his problem. But when he looked at that small blue face so peaceful on the white table, he knew he couldn't leave. Not now. Not ever. The doctor worked in silence while machines beeped and hummed around her. Doyen stood against the wall, watching every move she made. His hands were still shaking from the run. The music box felt heavy in his pocket. After what felt like hours but was probably only 20 minutes, the doctor stepped back. She pulled off her gloves and looked at Doyen with tired eyes. She was younger than him, maybe 30, with short black hair and a name tag that read, Dr. Hyejin. "She's stable for now," Dr. Hyejin said, "but we need to talk." Doyen moved closer to the examination table. Nari looked so small under the white sheet. Her chest rose and fell slowly. At least she was breathing. "What's wrong with her?" "Everything," Dr. Hyejin said bluntly. She pulled up a holographic display from her datapad. It showed Nari's body in blue light with red marks all over. "She's severely malnourished. She hasn't eaten properly in weeks, maybe months. Her organs are starting to fail. If you had found her even 2 days later, she would be dead." Doyen felt sick. "Can you save her?" "That's complicated." Dr. Hyejin touched the display, zooming in on Nari's brain. "She's Velen. Do you know anything about that species?" "No," Doyen admitted. "Velens are empathic," Dr. Hyejin explained. "They feel emotions from other beings around them. It's how they communicate and connect with each other. But when a Velen child is alone or surrounded by negative emotions for too long, it makes them sick. Their bodies literally shut down from sadness." Doyen looked at Nari's peaceful face. She had been alone on that station for 3 days, surrounded by crowds of aliens who didn't care about her. No wonder she had collapsed. "That's not all," Dr. Hyejin continued. She touched the display again, showing something in Nari's chest. "She has a genetic condition called Velen decay syndrome. It's common in orphaned Velens whose parents died young. Without treatment, her cells will break down. She has maybe 3 weeks left to live, maybe 4 if we're lucky." "What kind of treatment?" Doyen asked immediately. Dr. Hyejin met his eyes. "Expensive treatment. There's a medicine called Velenite serum. It's injected once every 10 days and helps stabilize her cells. But it's rare and costly. 1 dose is about 5,000 credits. She'll need it for the rest of her life." Doyen did the math in his head. 5,000 credits every 10 days. That was 15,000 a month. 180,000 a year. And that was just the medicine. He would also need special food for her, proper environment controls, regular medical checkups. His entire savings was maybe 70,000 credits. His cargo ship made about 30,000 a year in profit, and most of that went to repairs and fuel. He couldn't afford this. It was impossible. "I'll do it," he said. Dr. Hyejin blinked. "I don't think you understand the cost." "I understand," Doyen interrupted. "I'll find a way. Just tell me what she needs." The doctor studied him for a long moment. "Why? You don't even know this child." She's not your species. She's not your responsibility. You could walk away right now and no one would blame you. Doyen looked at Nari again. In sleep, she looked even younger than 7. Her 4 small hands were curled against her chest. The faint glow of her skin pulsed slowly like a heartbeat made of light. I have a daughter, he said quietly. Back on Earth, she's 12 now. I haven't seen her in 3 years because I'm always flying cargo routes to pay for her school and her life with her mother. He swallowed hard. When I saw Nari crying on that floor, asking for just one toy for her birthday, I saw my own daughter. I saw how lonely she must feel when I'm gone. I can't abandon Nari the same way. Dr. Hyejin's expression softened. That's admirable, but admirable doesn't pay for medicine. I'll figure it out, Doyen said firmly. A small sound made them both turn. Nari's eyes were open. She looked around the medical bay with confusion. Then her silver eyes found Doyen. Recognition and relief flooded her face. You stayed, she whispered. Doyen moved to her side and took one of her small hands. It was so tiny in his calloused palm. Of course I stayed. Tears filled Nari's eyes again, but they were different this time. Not tears of sadness. My music box, right here. Doyen pulled it from his pocket and placed it on the table beside her. Safe and sound. Nari touched it gently with one finger. She looked at Doyen with such trust that it made his chest ache. Will you stay until my birthday is over? Just one more day? Then you can leave. I know humans have important things to do. Dr. Hyejin looked at Doyen. He could see the warning in her eyes. Don't make promises you can't keep. Don't give this child false hope. But Doyen had never been good at walking away from people who needed him. It was why he sent almost all his money back to Earth for his daughter. It was why he flew dangerous routes that other captains avoided. It was why he was still standing here instead of heading back to his ship. He squeezed Nari's hand gently. I'm not leaving after one day, he said. I'm not leaving at all. You're coming with me. Nari's eyes went wide. What? I'm going to take care of you, Doyen said. The words came out before he could stop them, but once they were out, he knew they were right. You need medicine and food and someone who cares about you. I can give you all that. It won't be easy, and my ship is small, but you'll never be alone again. I promise, but I'm not human, Nari said. She looked confused and hopeful at the same time. Why would you care for an alien child? Because it's the right thing to do, Doyen said simply. And because when you asked me for a toy, you cried. That tells me you still have hope. I don't want that hope to die. Nari stared at him for a long moment. Then she started crying again, but she was also smiling. She reached up with all 4 arms and hugged him as hard as she could. Thank you, she sobbed. Thank you, thank you. Doyen held her carefully, mindful of how fragile she was. Over her head, he met Dr. Hyejin's eyes. The doctor shook her head slowly, but she was smiling a little. You're insane, Dr. Hyejin said. This is going to be incredibly difficult. Velen children need constant care. The medicine is hard to find. You'll have to modify your entire ship for her needs, and that's if you can even afford it all. I know, Doyen said. Your life is going to completely change. I know. You might fail. She might die anyway. I know, Doyen said quietly. But I have to try. Dr. Hyejin sighed. She picked up her datapad and started typing. Fine, I'll help. First, we need to get her stable enough to travel. That means 3 days of intensive treatment here in the medical bay. It's going to cost you 10,000 credits. Doyen felt his stomach drop. 10,000 credits was almost everything he had saved. But he nodded. Do it. After that, we need to find a supplier for Velenite serum, Dr. Hyejin continued. I know a xenobiologist who might be able to help. Her name is Dr. Ji-won. She lives in the research sector about 4 days from here. I'll go see her, Doyen said. You'll also need to register Nari as your ward legally, Dr. Hyejin added. The station authorities will want proof that you're taking responsibility for her. Otherwise, they might put her in a government facility. We'll handle it, a new voice said. Doyen turned. 2 people stood in the doorway of the medical bay. One was a tall woman with sharp eyes and short hair, his first officer, Minseo. The other was a stocky man with oil stains on his shirt, his engineer, Taejin. We heard you brought a kid to medical, Minseo said. She walked over and looked at Nari with curiosity. Didn't expect you to adopt an alien, Captain. Neither did I, Doyen admitted. Taejin peered at Nari, who was watching them nervously from the bed. She's tiny. She's going to need her own room on the ship. And climate control. Probably special food processors, too. Can you make it work? Doyen asked. Taijin scratched his chin thoughtfully. It'll cost money and time, but yeah, I can make it work. He grinned at Nari. Welcome to the Wandering Star, kid. Nari looked at all of them with wonder. You all want to help me? The captain makes crazy decisions sometimes, Minseo said. But we follow him anyway, she smiled. Besides, the ship's been too quiet. Could use a kid running around. For the first time since Doyen had met her, Nari smiled without any sadness in her eyes. Her whole face lit up and her skin glowed brighter. I promise I'll be good. I won't cause trouble. I'll help however I can. Just focus on getting better, Doyen said. He looked at his crew, at the doctor, at this small alien child who had stumbled into his life by chance. We have a long road ahead of us, but we'll make it work. Dr. Hijin pulled up another screen on her data pad. Then let's start. I'll begin the treatment now. You three should go back to your ship and start making modifications. Come back in 3 days. Doyen didn't want to leave, but he knew the doctor was right. He had a lot of work to do. He leaned down and squeezed Nari's hand one more time. I'll be back soon. Rest now. Will you really come back? Nari asked in a small voice. I promise, Doyun said. I keep my promises. As he walked out of the medical bay with his crew, he heard the soft sound of the music box playing. Nari had opened it. The holographic butterflies danced in the air, casting colored light across the white walls. Doyen had come to this station for fuel. Instead, he was leaving with a daughter he had just met. His life had changed in a single afternoon. The smart thing would be to walk away, to let the authorities handle it. But Doyen had never been smart about these things. He had always followed his heart, even when it led him into trouble. And right now his heart told him that saving this small alien child was 3 days later. Doyen walked back into the medical bay. His credit account was almost empty, and his ship now had a small room built into the cargo area. Taijin had worked for 72 hours straight, installing climate controls and soft walls that wouldn't hurt Nari if she fell. Dr. Hijin was waiting for him. She looked tired but satisfied. She's ready to leave. The treatment worked better than I expected. She's still weak, but she's stable. Doyen felt relief wash through him. Can I see her? She's been asking for you every hour, Dr. Hyejin said with a small smile. He found Nari sitting on the bed holding her music box. She looked better. Her skin glowed brighter and her eyes were clear. When she saw Doyen, she jumped down and ran to him, all 4 arms reaching up. Doyen caught her and lifted her easily. She weighed almost nothing. Ready to see your new home? Yes, Nari said excitedly. Then her smile faded a little. But what about the medicine? Dr. Hijin said I need it to live. Doyen set her down and knelt to her level. I'm working on that. I have enough medicine for the next 3 weeks. By then I'll find more. How? Nari asked. Her big silver eyes were worried. Dr. Hijin said it's very expensive. Don't worry about that, Doyen said, trying to sound confident. I have a plan. It wasn't much of a plan. Dr. Hijin had given him 3 doses of velenite serum, all she could spare. That would last 30 days. After that, Nari would start getting sick again. He needed to find more medicine before then, or everything he had done would be for nothing. On the walk back to the ship, Nari held Doyen's hand with 2 of her hands. She stared at everything with wide eyes like the station was full of magic. There are so many people here, so many different species. Have you never seen aliens before? Doyen asked. My mother and I lived on a small colony, Nari said quietly. Only Velen's there. After she died, the caretaker took me away. This station is the biggest place I've ever been. The Wandering Star was docked in Bay 12. It wasn't a beautiful ship. It was 30 years old with scratched paint and dented panels. But it was reliable and had gotten Doyen through some dangerous situations. Now it would be Nari's home too. Minseo met them at the airlock. She smiled at Nari. Welcome aboard. Want to see your room? Nari nodded eagerly. Minseo led her down the corridor while Doyen headed to the bridge. Taijin was already there, running system checks. Everything ready? Doyen asked. As ready as it can be, Taijin said. He pulled up a screen showing power consumption. The new climate system uses more energy than I'd like, but it'll work. Food processor is calibrated for Velen biology. The room has soft padding everywhere in case she has seizures or falls. He paused. But Captain, we need to talk about money. Doyen sat in his chair heavily. I know. The modifications cost 12,000 credits, Taejin said. Medical treatment was 10,000. The 3 doses of medicine were another 15,000. You've spent 37,000 credits in 3 days. You have maybe 6,000 left. I'm aware, Doyen said quietly. How are you going to afford the next dose of medicine? Taejin asked. You make 30,000 a year, but most of that goes to ship expenses and sending money to Earth. Doyun had been thinking about this constantly for 3 days. I'll stop sending money to Earth for a while. That's 20,000 a year freed up. I'll take more dangerous cargo runs. They pay better. They also get you killed, Taejin pointed out. I'll be careful, Doyen said, and I'll find other ways to make money. Side jobs. Maybe I can sell some of my personal things. Taejin shook his head. That might work for a few months. But this is forever, Captain. That kid needs medicine for the rest of her life. Even if you make more money, it's going to be tight. What if the ship breaks down? What if you get hurt and can't work? Then I'll figure it out, Doyen said firmly. I'm not giving up on her. I'm not saying you should, Taejin said. I'm just saying we need a better plan. Before Doyen could respond, Nari's excited voice came through the ship's speakers. Captain Doyen! You have to see my room. It's so pretty. Doyen allowed himself a small smile. Let's worry about the plan later. Right now, let's just make sure she's comfortable. He found Nari in her new room, spinning in circles with her arms out. The room was small but cozy, with soft blue walls and gentle lighting. Minseo had put up decorations, star charts, and pictures of different planets. A small bed with extra cushions sat in the corner. Do you like it? Doyen asked. I love it, Nari said. She ran to him and hugged his legs. Thank you. Thank you so much. Later that night, after Nari had fallen asleep in her new bed, Doyun sat in the bridge alone. He pulled up his personal messages and stared at the one from his daughter back on Earth. Hi, Dad. It read, Mom says you're working hard. I miss you. When are you coming home? He had written and deleted 5 different responses. How could he tell his daughter that he wouldn't be sending money anymore? That he might not come home for even longer because he had promised to save an alien child? But he also knew his daughter would understand. She had always been kind, always worried about other people. If he explained what happened, she would support him. She might even be proud of him. He typed, Hi, sweetheart. Something happened. I'll explain when I can call you. I love you. I'm sorry things are going to be harder for a while. But I'm doing something important. I hope you understand. He sent it before he could change his mind. The next morning, Doyen set course for the research sector. Dr. Hyejin had given him coordinates for Dr. Jiwon's station. It was 4 days away at maximum speed. During those 4 days, Nari explored every part of the ship. She followed Hyejin around while he worked, asking questions about every tool and wire. She sat with Minseo in the navigation room, learning about star charts. And she spent hours with Doyen on the bridge watching the stars go by. Why are there so many stars? She asked one night. Because the universe is huge, Doyen said. Bigger than we can imagine. Are there more people like you out there? Kind people? Doyen thought about that. I think there are kind people everywhere. And cruel ones too. The trick is finding the kind ones when you need them. Nari leaned against his chair. I'm glad I found you. On the 4th day, they reached the research station. It was small, built into an asteroid. Only a few dozen people worked there. All scientists studying things Doyen didn't understand. Dr. Jiwon met them at the docking bay. She was older than Dr. Hyejin, maybe 50, with gray hair and tired eyes. She looked at Nari with surprise. Hyejin told me about you, Dr. Jiwon said. But I didn't believe her. A human taking in a Velen child. That's unusual. I get that a lot, Doyen said. Can you help us? Dr. Jiwon studied Nari for a long moment. Come to my lab. We need to talk. Her lab was full of equipment and screens showing chemical formulas that Doyen couldn't read. Dr. Jiwon pulled up a holographic display. Velenite serum is rare because it's made from a plant that only grows on the Velen homeworld. The homeworld was destroyed 20 years ago in a war. Now the only source is small gardens kept by Velen survivors, and they sell it for enormous prices. How much? Doyen asked. 5,000 credits per dose is actually cheap, Dr. Jiwon said. Some sellers charge 10,000 or more. They know desperate people will pay anything. Doyen felt his hope sinking. So there's no other option? I didn't say that, Dr. Jiwon said. She pulled up another screen. I spent years studying Velen biology. I was trying to create a synthetic version of the serum. Something cheaper that could be made anywhere. Did you succeed? Almost, Dr. Jiwan said. I had a formula that worked in 90% of cases. But then, she paused and looked away. Something happened. A Velen child I was treating died. It wasn't my fault, he was too sick, but I couldn't continue the research after that. Nari stepped forward. Please, she said softly. I don't want Captain Doyen to spend all his money on me. I don't want to be a burden. If you have a formula, please share it. Dr. Jiwon looked at Nari with something like pain in her eyes. The formula requires rare components, things found only in dangerous places. I'll go anywhere, Doyen said immediately. Dr. Jiwon shook her head. This is madness. You're risking everything for a child who isn't even your species. She's my responsibility now, Doyen said firmly. Please, help us. After a long moment, Dr. Jiwon nodded. Fine. I'll send you the formula and a list of what you need. But some of these components are in hazardous nebula regions. No sane person goes there. Then it's good I'm not sane, Doyen said. Dr. Jiwon downloaded the formula to Doyen's datapad. You'll need 3 main components. The first is crystallized helium from the Frost Nebula. The second is spore samples from void fungi in the dark zone. The third is thermal plasma from star wells in the burning fields. Each location sounded more dangerous than the last, but Doyen just nodded. How long will this take? If you're fast and lucky, 3 weeks, Dr. Jiwon said. If you're slow or unlucky, you'll die trying. Nari grabbed Doyen's hand. This is too dangerous. Maybe we should just buy the normal medicine. With what money? Doyen asked gently. This is our only choice. Dr. Jiwon knelt down to Nari's level. Your captain is a brave man. Foolish, but brave. Take care of him. I will, Nari promised. That night, back on the ship, Doyen plotted courses to all 3 locations. They were spread across different sects. The Frost Nebula was beautiful and deadly. Ice crystals the size of buildings floated through space, glowing blue and white. The temperature dropped so low that normal ships would freeze solid within minutes. Doyen guided the wandering star through the ice field carefully. Taijin had reinforced the hull and boosted the heating systems, but they still had to move slowly. One wrong turn could mean death. There, Minseo said, pointing at her scanner. Crystallized helium deposits on that large ice chunk to the left. Doyen brought the ship close. He and Taijin put on spacesuits and went outside. The cold hit them immediately, even through the suit's heating systems. Doyen's fingers were numb within seconds. They drilled into the ice and collected the helium crystals. They looked like diamonds but felt warm to the touch, even in the freezing cold. Strange physics, Doyen thought. But that was why they were valuable for the medicine. Back on the ship, Nari was waiting by the airlock. Did you get it? We got it, Doyen said, showing her the crystals. 1 component down, 2 to go. The dark zone was next. It was a region of space where no light reached, not even from distant stars. Ships that entered had to rely completely on instruments. Pirates loved it because victims couldn't see them coming. I don't like this, Minseo said as they entered the darkness. My sensors are picking up 3 ships nearby. They're trying to hide, but I can see their heat signatures. Pirates? Taijin asked. Probably. Doyen thought fast. How long to get to the void fungi location? 20 minutes, Minseo said. Then we run, Doyen decided. Full speed. Don't stop for anything. The ship accelerated. Behind them, the 3 pirate ships gave chase. They were faster than the Wandering Star, built for hunting instead of cargo. Within 10 minutes, they were firing weapons. The ship shook as energy blasts hit the shields. Warning alarms screamed. Nari cried out in fear from her room. Shields at 60%, Taijin reported. We can't take much more of this. Doyen's hands moved across the controls. He had flown through dangerous situations before, but never with a child on board. The responsibility made his heart pound. Minseo, where's the fungi location? 2 minutes ahead. But Captain, we'll need to stop to collect samples. If we stop, they'll catch us. I'll handle it, Doyen said. He opened ship-wide communications. Nari, hold on to something. This is going to get rough. He pushed the ship to maximum speed, then at the last second, fired reverse thrusters. The wandering star stopped so suddenly that everyone was thrown forward in their seats. The pirate ships shot past them, surprised by the maneuver. "Go!" Doyen yelled. "Get the samples now." Tajin was already moving. He ran to the airlock with collection equipment. The void fungi grew on ancient debris floating in the darkness. They glowed faintly, the only light in the entire zone. Tajin scooped up samples as fast as he could. The pirate ships were turning around. They would be in firing range again in 30 seconds. "Tajin," Doyen called. "We're out of time." "Almost got it. 20 seconds. The pirate ships were accelerating. "Tajin, done." Tajin ran back through the airlock just as the first energy blast hit the ship's stern. The ship rocked violently. Doyen didn't wait. He engaged the faster-than-light drive, something you weren't supposed to do so close to debris. The ship jumped to light speed, leaving the pirates behind. But the stress on the engines was enormous. Warning lights flashed across every screen. "Engine damage on drives 2 and 3, Tajin reported. "We'll need repairs before we can jump again." "Can you fix it?" Doyen asked. "Not while we're moving. We need to stop somewhere safe." Doyen pulled up a star chart. The nearest safe location was a small trading station called Meridian 3. It would take 6 hours to reach at normal speed. 6 hours when pirates might find them again. In her room, Nari was curled in her bed, crying. The music box lay on the floor where it had fallen. Doyen went to check on her. When she saw him, she jumped up and hugged him with all 4 arms. "I was so scared," she sobbed. "I thought we were going to die." "We're okay," Doyen said, holding her. "You're safe." "Why are you doing this?" Nari asked, pulling back to look at him. "Why are you risking your life for me? I'm nobody. I'm just an alien child." Doyen knelt down to her level. "You're not nobody, you're Nari. You're brave and kind. You asked a stranger for a toy on your birthday, which means you still had hope even when everything was terrible. That hope is worth protecting." "But you could die," Nari said. "Your crew could die, all because of me." "Not because of you," Doyen corrected. "For you. There's a difference. And yes, it's dangerous, but some things are worth the danger." They reached Meridian 3 without further incident. While Tajin worked on repairs, Doyen went to the station's market to buy supplies. That's when he heard his name spoken by a stranger. He turned. A man was watching him from across the market. Human, tall, with military bearing. He walked over with a slight smile. "Captain Doyen," the man said. "I'm Ji-hun. I served in the Earth Fleet before going private. I've heard about what you're doing, taking in that Velen child. Word travels fast in trade circles." "And?" Doyen asked carefully. "And I wanted to meet the man crazy enough to adopt an alien kid," Ji-hun said. "That takes guts, or stupidity, maybe both. If you're here to tell me I'm making a mistake, actually I'm here to warn you," Ji-hun interrupted. "There's a trafficking syndicate leader named Voskin. He buys and sells rare individuals. Velen children are especially valuable because of their empathic abilities. Word is he's looking for your ship." Doyen felt cold fear wash through him. "How do you know this?" "I have contacts in dark places," Ji-hun said. "Voskin has put out word that he wants the Velen child you rescued. He's offering a reward for information on your location. Why are you telling me this?" Ji-hun shrugged. "I don't like slavers, and I respect what you're doing. If you want, I can provide security consultation, help you defend yourselves if Voskin comes." Doyen studied the man. He seemed genuine, but Doyen had learned to be cautious. "What's your price?" "No price," Ji-hun said. "Consider it a favor. You're doing something good. I want to help." After thinking for a moment, Doyen nodded. "All right, come meet my crew." Ji-hun came aboard the Wandering Star and quickly assessed their defenses. "You have basic shields and 1 small weapon system. That won't stop determined mercenaries." "We're a cargo ship," Doyen said, "not a warship." "Then you need allies," Ji-hun said. "Other ships who can help defend you. I know a few captains who owe me favors. Let me make some calls." Over the next 2 days, while Taejin finished repairs, Ji-hoon contacted various ship captains. Some were humans, others were aliens. All had been wronged by Voskin's syndicate in some way. They agreed to stay in contact and help if Doyen needed it. "You're building a small fleet," Minseo observed. "More like a support network," Ji-hoon said. "But yes, if Voskin attacks, you won't be alone." Finally, with the ship repaired and allies contacted, they headed for the burning fields. This was the most dangerous location, a region near an unstable star where solar flares erupted constantly. The thermal plasma needed for the medicine could only be collected during brief windows between flares. "Timing is everything," Doyen said as they approached. "We have maybe 3 minutes between flares. In that time, we collect the plasma and leave." "What if a flare happens while we're there?" Taejin asked. "Then we die," Doyen said simply. They waited at a safe distance, watching the star. Massive flares of fire erupted from its surface, reaching millions of miles into space. Between flares, wells of stable plasma formed, pools of superheated matter that somehow remained calm. "There," Minseo said. "Window opening in 10 seconds. Doyen guided the ship forward. The heat was incredible, even with all shields at maximum. Warning alarms blared. The hull creaked under the stress. They reached the plasma well. Taejin deployed collection pods. The plasma flowed into containment units glowing orange and white. 30 seconds until next flare, Minseo warned. "Come on," Doyen muttered, watching the collection progress. "Come on." 20 seconds. The plasma collection was at 70%. Not enough. They needed at least 90% to make the medicine. 15 seconds. "Captain, we need to leave." "Not yet," Doyen said. 10 seconds. 80%. Still not enough. "Captain, 85%, 90%. Done. Go." Doyen yanked the controls. The ship accelerated away from the star just as a massive flare erupted behind them. Fire chased them through space. The rear shields failed. Heat flooded the cargo bay. But they made it. Barely. Taejin checked the containment units. "We got it. All 3 components collected." Doyen slumped in his chair, exhausted. 3 weeks of dangerous flying. 3 near-death experiences. But they had everything they needed. "Captain," Minseo said quietly, "we have a problem." "What now?" 4 ships just dropped out of light speed behind us. Military-grade vessels, they're hailing us. Doyen's stomach dropped. "Voskin?" "Probably." He opened communications. A face appeared on screen, an alien with sharp features and cold eyes. "Captain Doyen, I am Voskin. You have something that belongs to me." "Nari doesn't belong to anyone," Doyen said. "The Velen child is valuable merchandise," Voskin said. "Surrender her, and I'll let you live. Refuse, and I'll take her by force and kill you all." "Not going to happen," Doyen said. Voskin smiled. Without war, the wandering star shook as another blast hit the shields. Red warning lights flashed across every console. The ship was never meant for combat, and it was taking damage fast. "Shields at 30%, Taejin reported, his fingers flying over the engineering controls. "If they hit us a few more times, we're done." Doyen spun the ship hard to the left, barely avoiding another volley of weapons fire. He was pushing the engines beyond their limits, making maneuvers that should be impossible for a cargo vessel. But desperation made him creative. "How long until help arrives?" he asked. "First ship is still 40 minutes out," Minseo said. She was coordinating with their allies, sending their exact location. "The others are even farther. 40 minutes. They had to survive 40 minutes against 4 military ships. It seemed impossible. Voskin's voice came through the communications again. "You fly well for a cargo captain. But this is pointless. Surrender the child and this ends." "Never," Doyen said through gritted teeth. "Then you die with honor, I suppose," Voskin said. "How human of you." 2 of Voskin's ships split off, trying to surround them. Doyen saw the tactic and accelerated toward an asteroid field nearby. If he could reach the asteroids, he could use them for cover. "Captain, that field is too dense," Minseo warned. "We'll hit something." "Better than getting shot," Doyen said. They plunged into the asteroid field. Huge rocks tumbled through space in chaotic patterns. Doyen weaved between them. using every bit of skill he had learned in 10 years of flying dangerous routes. The pursuing ships followed, but they were larger and less maneuverable. One of them clipped an asteroid and spun off, trailing debris. 3 ships left. Good flying. Ji-hoon's voice came through the communications. He had stayed connected during the fight, offering tactical advice. But you can't hide in there forever. Eventually they'll box you in. I know, Doyen said. I'm buying time. In her room, Nari felt the fear flowing through the ship. She felt Doyen's determination, Minseo's worry, Taijin's focused concentration. But she also felt something else, her own power stirring inside her. Velans were empathic. They could sense emotions, but some Velans, especially young ones under extreme stress, could do more. They could project emotions, share feelings across distances. Nari had never tried it before. She wasn't sure she could, but she had to try. She closed her eyes and reached out with her mind. She touched the edges of Doyen's consciousness, feeling his fierce protective love for her. It made her want to cry. Then she reached farther, searching for the other ships. She found Voskin's crew. Their emotions were cold and greedy. They saw her as nothing more than a product to be sold. The feeling made her sick, but not all of them felt that way. In one of the ships, she felt a young pilot who was scared. He didn't want to be here. He was only working for Voskin because he needed the money to save his family. Nari focused on that pilot. She pushed feelings toward him, fear, doubt, guilt. She showed him images of herself crying, alone, sold to strangers. She made him feel what she felt. On one of Voskin's ships, a pilot named Kesh suddenly gasped. He saw visions in his mind, a small blue child weeping, hands reaching out for help. He felt her terror as if it were his own. His hands shook on the controls. "Kesh!" his commander shouted. "What are you doing?" "Stay in formation." But Kesh couldn't. The feelings were too strong. He saw his own little sister in the alien child's face. How could he help capture someone's child? How could he be part of this? He made a decision. He broke formation and stopped firing. Voskin noticed immediately. "Kesh, get back in position or I'll blow your ship myself." "No," Kesh said quietly. He changed course and flew away. 2 ships left. On the wandering star, Doyen noticed one ship leaving. He didn't know why, but he wasn't going to waste the opportunity. He pushed the ship harder, flying deeper into the asteroid field. "Captain," Taijin said suddenly, "I have an idea. It's crazy, but it might work. Tell me." "We collected thermal plasma from the burning fields," Taijin explained quickly. "That stuff is incredibly hot and unstable. If I vent it into space behind us, it'll create a cloud of superheated matter. Any ship that flies through it will take serious damage." "Do it," Doyen ordered. Taijin routed the plasma containment to the rear vents. "This is going to ruin our medicine components, Captain. We'll have to go back to the burning fields again." Doyen didn't hesitate. "Nari's life today is more important than her medicine tomorrow." Vent the plasma. A brilliant orange cloud erupted behind the wandering star. The 2 pursuing ships flew straight into it before they could react. Their shields overloaded immediately. One ship's engines exploded, leaving it dead in space. The other veered away, its hull glowing red-hot. One ship left, Voskin's flagship. But now they were alone in the asteroid field, and Voskin was furious. "You've destroyed my ships and turned my crew against me. I'll make you suffer for this, human." His ship accelerated, weapons charging for a killing blow. "Shields at 10%, Taijin said. "We can't take another hit." Doyen's mind raced. He was out of options. The ship was too damaged to run. They couldn't fight. Help was still 30 minutes away. "Captain," Nari's small voice came through the communications. "Let me help." "Nari, stay in your room," Doyen said. "It's too dangerous." "I can help," Nari insisted. "There's an empathic interface in the ship's control system. Some vessels use them for Velan pilots. I can connect to it and help you fly." Doyen remembered seeing that interface when they first bought the ship. It had been installed by the previous owner, but never used. He had forgotten about it entirely. "That system hasn't been tested in years," Minseo said. "We don't know if it works." "It works," Nari said. "I can feel it. Please, Captain. Trust me." Doyen looked at the approaching enemy ship. He had no other choice. "Come to the bridge, quickly." Nari ran through the corridors. When she reached the bridge, Doyen lifted her into the co-pilot seat. The empathic interface was a small panel with glowing symbols. Nari placed all 4 hands on it. Her eyes went white. She gasped as the ship's systems flooded into her consciousness. She could feel every wire, every engine, every sensor. The ship became an extension of her body. "I can see everything," she whispered. "I can feel where Voskin will shoot before he shoots." "Then guide me," Doyen said. "Tell me where to go." Voskin fired. "Left," Nari shouted. Doyen jerked the controls left. The energy blast missed by inches. Voskin fired again, 3 shots in rapid succession. "Right, down, up," Nari called out. Doyen followed her directions exactly. Every shot missed. It was like they could see the future. Voskin snarled in frustration. "Impossible!" "How are you dodging?" He fired everything he had. Missiles, energy weapons, projectiles. But Nari could sense his intent before he even pulled the trigger. Her empathic abilities picked up his emotions, his decisions, his muscle movements. She and Doyen moved as one, human reflexes combined with Velen intuition. They danced through weapons fire like it was choreographed. Every movement was perfect. Every dodge was precise. "This is amazing," Minseo breathed, watching them work together. But Nari was tiring. The empathic connection used enormous energy. Her nose started bleeding. Her hands shook. "Nari?" Doyen asked, worried. "I'm okay," she said weakly. "Keep going." "You're hurting yourself," Doyen said. "Disconnect." "No," Nari said firmly. "I won't let him hurt you. Not after everything you've done for me." Voskin's ship was getting desperate. He flew closer, trying to ram them. But in his anger, he made a mistake. "He flew too close to a large asteroid, Captain," Nari said. "If you fire at that asteroid right there, the debris will hit his ship." Doyen didn't question. He fired their small weapon at the asteroid. It shattered, sending huge chunks of rock in all directions. Several pieces slammed into Voskin's ship, tearing through already damaged shields. Alarms blared on Voskin's bridge. "Hull breach on decks 2 and 3. Engines failing!" His ship began to list, unable to maintain course. At that moment, a new ship dropped out of light speed, a sleek combat vessel. Captain Youngmi's voice came through the communications. "Sorry we're late. Looks like you handled things pretty well without us." More ships appeared. Dongyun's trading frigate, Jihun's security corvette, 6 other vessels, all allies who had come to help. Voskin's damaged ship was surrounded. He had lost. "This isn't over, human," Voskin transmitted. "The child will be mine eventually." "No, it's over," Jihun said, his ship moving to intercept. "You're coming with me to face justice. You've escaped consequences for too long." Jihun's security teams boarded Voskin's ship and arrested him and his remaining crew. The battle was won. On the Wandering Star, Nari collapsed. Doyen caught her before she fell from the chair. Her skin had lost its glow. Blood ran from her nose and ears. The empathic connection had pushed her body too hard. "Nari," Doyen shook her gently. "Stay with me." Her eyes fluttered open. "Did we win?" "We won," Doyen said, holding her close. "You saved us. You were so brave." "I wasn't scared," Nari whispered. "Not when I was with you." Dr. Heejin's voice came through communications from Youngmi's ship. "I'm here with the fleet. Bring Nari to my medical bay immediately. She needs treatment." They transferred Nari to Youngmi's ship, where Dr. Heejin had a full medical facility. The doctor worked for hours, stabilizing Nari's condition. The empathic strain had been severe, but Nari would recover with rest. While they waited, the 6 months had passed since the battle with Voskin. The Wandering Star now looked different. Teijin had repaired all the damage and added better shields. The ship was still a cargo vessel, but now it was a cargo vessel that had survived a fight with slavers. More importantly, Nari looked different. She had gained weight and grown taller. Her skin glowed brightly now, full of health. The synthetic medicine Dr. Jiwan had helped them create worked perfectly. Doyen made a batch every month using the components they had collected. It was difficult work, but it was possible. Nari's 8th birthday was approaching. Doyen wanted to make it special. Her 7th birthday had been spent alone on a station floor crying for a toy. This one would be different. "We're throwing you a party," he announced one morning while Nari was eating breakfast. Nari's eyes went wide. "A party? A real party?" "The realest party," Minseo said with a grin. She was sitting at the table with them, drinking coffee, with cake and decorations and presents. "And guests," Teijin added from where he was working on a control panel. "Captain invited the whole coalition." "The whole coalition?" Nari repeated. "But there are so many ships now." The coalition had grown over the past months. What had started as a handful of grateful captains was now over 30 ships. They stayed in contact, shared information about criminals, and helped each other when trouble arose. They called themselves the Free Traders Coalition, though most people just called them Doyen's fleet, even though Doyen insisted he wasn't the leader. "Not all of them can come," Doyen said. "But Youngmi is coming, and Donghyun and Jihoon, plus a few others. We'll meet at Station Meridian 3 for the celebration." Nari looked overwhelmed. "I don't know what to say." "Say you're excited," Minseo said. "Because we're going to make this the best birthday ever." They spent the next week preparing. Minseo learned how to bake a cake using human recipes but adjusted for Velen biology. It took her 4 tries, and the kitchen was a disaster each time, but she finally got it right. Taejin built holographic decorations, floating stars and planets that orbited around the cargo bay. He also programmed them to play music, soft melodies that reminded Nari of her music box. Doyen went shopping at every station they passed, looking for the perfect present. He found a data pad loaded with books from 100 different worlds translated into Velen. Nari loved to read, and this would keep her busy for years. When they arrived at Meridian 3, the station's docking bay was full of ships. Youngmi's combat vessel sat next to Donghyun's trading frigate. Jihoon's security corvette was docked beside a medical transport. Other ships of all sizes filled the remaining spaces. "They all came," Nari whispered, staring through the window at the gathered fleet. "Of course they came," Doyen said. "You're important to all of them." The cargo bay had been transformed into a party venue. Colorful streamers hung from the ceiling. Tables were set up with food from a dozen different cultures. The holographic decorations floated overhead, casting gentle light across everything. Captain Youngmi was the first to arrive. She was a tall alien with green-scaled skin and 3 eyes. She looked fierce, but she smiled warmly when she saw Nari. "Happy birthday, little one. I brought you something." She handed Nari a small box. Inside was a pendant made of crystal. "This is from my homeworld," Youngmi explained. "It's supposed to bring courage to whoever wears it. I thought you could use it." "Thank you," Nari said, putting it on immediately. The crystal glowed against her blue skin. Donghyun arrived next, carrying a large bag. "I found these at a market on the edge of the galaxy," he said. He pulled out containers of Velen delicacies, foods from Nari's homeworld that were incredibly rare now. "I thought you might like to taste home again." Nari's eyes filled with tears. She hadn't eaten Velen food since her mother died. "How did you find these?" "I have connections," Donghyun said with a wink. "And I wanted to do something special for you." More people arrived. Jihoon brought weapons training equipment, which made Doyen raise an eyebrow until Jihoon explained, "When she's older, she should know how to protect herself." A doctor brought medical supplies. A trader brought toys and games from different worlds. Dr. Jiwon came too, traveling all the way from her research station. She hugged Nari tightly. "Look at you," she said. "So healthy and strong. I'm proud of you." "The medicine works perfectly," Nari said. "Thank you for helping Captain Doyen make it." "Thank your captain," Dr. Jiwon said. "He's the one who risked everything to collect the components." When everyone had arrived, Minseo brought out the cake. It was blue and white, decorated with sugar butterflies. Candles flickered on top, 8 of them, 1 for each year of Nari's life. The room went quiet. Then everyone began singing. It was chaotic because they were all from different species with different languages, but somehow it worked. The melody was universal, a celebration of life and another year of existence. Nari stood in front of the cake, tears running down her face. But she was smiling. She looked at all the people around her, humans and aliens, warriors and doctors, traders and engineers. They had all come here for her. A small Velen child who had once been nobody. She closed her eyes and made a wish, then blew out the candles. Everyone cheered. "What did you wish for?" Minseo asked. "That this moment could last forever," Nari said. They ate cake and talked and laughed. Nari opened presents and thanked everyone. She played games with children from other species who had come with their parents. For a few hours, the cargo bay was full of joy and warmth. Then in the middle of the celebration, alarms blared throughout the station. A voice came over the speakers. "All ships, we have incoming vessels. Multiple contacts approaching at high speed. They're not responding to hails." Everyone ran to the windows. Ships were indeed approaching, 10 of them, all military grade. They moved in attack formation. Jihoon's face went pale. "Those are Voskin's ships. the rest of his fleet that wasn't with him during the first battle. But Voskin is in prison, Youngmi said. His organization is still active, Ji-hoon said grimly. They must have found out about the coalition gathering. They're coming for revenge, Doyen felt ice in his stomach. He looked at Nari, who had gone very still. Her skin had lost its glow. Everyone to your ships, Doyen ordered. We need to defend the station. Captain, the station commander's voice came through the communications. We have civilians here, thousands of them. If a battle happens in dock, people will die. Doyen thought fast. Then we take the fight away from the station. Coalition ships launch now. We'll meet them in open space. The party ended abruptly. People ran to their ships. Nari grabbed Doyen's hand. This is because of me, isn't it? They're coming for me. They're coming because they're criminals, Doyen said firmly. This isn't your fault. But if I wasn't here, if you weren't here, I would still fight them, Doyen said. Because that's what we do. We protect people. Now come on. The coalition ships launched from the station, 30 vessels against 10. The numbers were in their favor, but Voskin's ships were better armed and armored. On the Wandering Stars bridge, Doyen watched the approaching enemy. This time he wasn't running. He had allies. He had friends who believed in the same things he did. All ships, this is Captain Doyen, he transmitted to the coalition. We didn't start this fight, but we're going to finish it. Protect each other, watch your wingmates, and remember why we're here, to prove that some things are worth fighting for. The fleet responded with affirmations in a dozen languages. They formed a defensive line between the station and the approaching enemy. Voskin's second-in-command, a cruel alien named Rekton, opened communications. His face appeared on screen, sharp features and cold eyes just like his former boss. Captain Doyen, I'm here to deliver a message. Voskin may be in prison, but his legacy continues. We will take the Velen child. We will destroy your coalition, and we will make sure everyone remembers what happens to humans who interfere with our business. Come and try, Doyen said coldly. Rekton smiled. With pleasure, the battle began. Energy weapons lit up the space between the two fleets. The coalition ships fought with coordination born from months of working together. They covered each other, shared shields, and moved as one unit. But Voskin's ships were still dangerous. One of Dongyun's engines was hit, sending his ship spinning. Youngmi's shields failed, leaving her vulnerable. A medical transport took damage and started venting atmosphere. Doyen coordinated the defense, calling out targets and strategies. But he was also protecting his own ship, weaving through fire while Taejin managed the shields and Minseo operated their weapon. In her room, Nari felt the fear and determination flowing from everyone in the battle. She felt people getting hurt. She felt their courage. And she made a decision. She ran to the bridge. Captain, let me help again. The empathic interface, no, Doyen said immediately. Last time it nearly killed you. Last time I didn't know what I was doing, Nari said. I've been practicing. I can help without hurting myself. Nari, please, she said. People are dying because of me. Let me help save them. Doyen looked at her determined face. She wasn't asking as a child. She was asking as someone who wanted to protect her family. Okay, he said, but if I tell you to stop, you stop. Promise? I promise. Nari placed her hands on the empathic interface. This time she connected more smoothly. She extended her 6 years had passed since that interrupted birthday party. Nari stood on the balcony of a house overlooking gentle green hills. She was 14 now. No longer the tiny, frightened child Doyen had found crying on a station floor. She had grown tall for a Velen, and her skin glowed with health and happiness. The house sat on New Earth Colony in the Andromeda sector. It was a peaceful world with blue skies and 2 moons. When humans had first settled here, they named it New Earth because it reminded them of home. Now it was home to dozens of species living together. Behind the house was something much bigger, a sprawling complex of buildings that housed the sanctuary. Doyen had built it 3 years ago with donations from coalition members and profits from his cargo runs. It was a place for orphaned children of all species, a home for those who had nowhere else to go. Right now, the sanctuary housed 43 children. Some were aliens whose parents had died in accidents or wars. Others were human children from broken families. All of them had found safety here. Nari watched as Doyen played with a group of younger children in the yard. He was older now, with gray in his hair and lines around his eyes. But he still had the same kind smile that had convinced a scared alien child to trust him years ago. A small human girl, maybe 6 years old, was climbing on his back while he pretended to be a monster. 2 alien boys were trying to trap him with a rope. Doyen roared dramatically and fell over, letting them win. The children cheered and piled on top of him, laughing. "He's good with them," a voice said beside Nari. She turned to see Min Seo, who was now the sanctuary's operations manager. Min Seo had stopped flying cargo runs 2 years ago to work here full-time. "He's always been good with kids," Nari said, "even when he pretends to be tough." "Speaking of which, your test results came back," Min Seo said, handing Nari a data pad. "You passed everything. Top scores in xenobiology, medicine, and psychology. Dr. Jiwon and Dr. Hyejin are both impressed." Nari looked at the scores with quiet satisfaction. She had been studying for years, learning everything she could about medicine and caring for different species. Her goal was to become a doctor like the ones who had saved her life. She wanted to help others the way she had been helped. "I start at the medical academy next month," Nari said. "It's going to be strange living away from here." "You'll visit," Min Seo said. "And we'll visit you. You're not really leaving. You're just expanding where home is." That evening, the sanctuary hosted a celebration. It was Nari's 14th birthday, but it was also the anniversary of the sanctuary's founding. The 2 events had become one big festival that everyone looked forward to. Hundreds of people attended. All the coalition captains came: Youngmi, Donghyun, Jihoon, and dozens of others. Families who had adopted children from the sanctuary came to show support. Government officials from New Earth Colony came to give speeches about how the sanctuary had helped their world. Even some former enemies attended. Kesh, the pilot who had abandoned Voskin's fleet during that first battle, now worked as a security guard for the sanctuary. He had told Nari once that seeing her face in his mind had changed his life. He dedicated himself to protecting children now, trying to make up for his past. The sanctuary's main hall was decorated beautifully. Long tables held food from 100 different cultures. Children ran around playing games while adults talked and laughed. Music played, a mix of human songs and alien melodies. Doyun found Nari standing by a window watching the celebration but not joining it. "You okay?" he asked. "I'm thinking," Nari said, "about how everything changed from one moment. If you had walked past me that day on the station, if you hadn't stopped to help, where would I be now?" "Dead, probably," Doyun said honestly. "Or sold to slavers." "Exactly," Nari said. "But you stopped. You helped. And now look at all of this." She gestured at the celebration. 43 children have homes because of what you did for me. Hundreds more have been helped by the coalition. How many lives have been changed because you decided to buy a toy for a crying alien child?" Doyen was quiet for a moment. "I never thought about it like that. I just did what felt right." "That's what makes it special," Nari said. "You didn't help me for glory or recognition. You helped me because it was right. That's what humans do that other species don't understand. You care so much, so deeply, even for people you just met. Even for people who aren't your species." "Some humans are like that," Doyen corrected. "Not all of us. Enough of you are," Nari said. "Enough to make a difference." A bell rang, signaling that speeches would begin. Everyone gathered in the main hall. Youngmi stood at a podium and spoke about how the coalition had grown to over 200 ships now. Donghyun talked about how they had stopped 17 trafficking operations in the past year. Jihoon announced that the Galactic Council was considering making the coalition an official peacekeeping organization. Then it was Nari's turn to speak. She walked to the podium nervously. Public speaking still made her anxious, but she had something important to say. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her voice soft but clear. 6 years ago I was alone and dying on a space station. I asked a stranger for a simple toy and he gave me so much more. He gave me life. He gave me a family. He gave me hope." She looked at Doyen, who was standing at the back of the room. "Captain Doyen taught me that family isn't about biology or species. It's about choice. It's about deciding to care for someone and following through even when it's hard, even when it's dangerous. Even when everyone thinks you're crazy." People laughed and nodded. Many of them had thought Doyen was crazy at first. But what he started with one small act of kindness became something bigger, Nari continued. This sanctuary exists because people saw what he did and wanted to do the same. The coalition exists because captains saw that protecting the weak was worth the risk. All of this started because one human couldn't walk past a crying child without helping. She paused, gathering her thoughts. I'm going to medical academy next month. I'm going to become a doctor. And then I'm going to travel across the galaxy, helping people who need it. I'm going to spread the same compassion I receive to every world I can reach. Because that's what this family does. We help, we protect, we care. She looked around the room at all the faces, humans and aliens, adults and children, warriors and healers. We're all different species. We come from different worlds. We have different beliefs and languages and cultures, but we're united by one simple truth: every life matters. Every child deserves safety. Every person deserves compassion. She smiled, tears in her eyes. Captain Doyen gave me a toy on my birthday. But really, he gave me the universe, and I'm going to give it back to others, one person at a time. That's my promise to all of you. The room erupted in applause. People stood and cheered. Doyen wiped tears from his eyes, proud and amazed at what that small, scared child had become. After the speeches, Nari found herself surrounded by younger children from the sanctuary. They all wanted to hug her and wish her luck at the academy. She had been like a big sister to many of them, helping them adjust to their new home. A small boy, a refugee from a war zone, tugged on her arm. Will you come back? He asked in broken standard language. Of course, Nari said, kneeling to his level. This is my home. I'll visit whenever I can. Promise? I promise. Later, as the party wound down and guests began leaving, Nari and Doyen stood together on the balcony again. The two moons were rising, casting silver light across the hills. Are you scared? Doyen asked. About leaving? A little, Nari admitted. But mostly I'm excited. There's so much to learn. So many people to help. You'll do amazing things, Doyen said. You already have. Nari leaned against him. Even though she was 14 and almost as tall as him now, she still felt safe beside him. Do you ever regret it? Taking me in? Spending all that money and time on me when you could have just walked away? Doyen put his arm around her shoulders. Not for 1 second. You're my daughter, Nari. The best thing that ever happened to me. Even though I'm not human, especially because you're not human, Doyen said with a smile. You taught me that family is bigger than one species. Love is bigger than biology. You made me a better person. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the moons rise higher. Somewhere in the sanctuary, children were laughing. In orbit above the planet, coalition ships kept watch, ensuring peace and safety. Across the galaxy, people were talking about the sanctuary and the coalition, inspired to create similar organizations on their own worlds. All of it had started with one simple question. Can you purchase me a toy for my birthday? One human had answered yes, and from that single act of kindness, a movement had been born. Papa, Nari said quietly, yes? Thank you. For the toy. For everything, Doyen smiled. Happy birthday, Nari. May you have 1,000 more. I will, Nari said with certainty. Because I have you. I have our family. And I have hope. She pulled out her music box from her pocket. She had kept it all these years, carrying it everywhere. She pressed the button and holographic butterflies danced in the moonlight, glowing pink and yellow just like they had 6 years ago. But now when Nari looked at the butterflies, she didn't see sadness. She saw possibility. She saw the future she was going to create.